this episode is going to be all about what seeing the block really means. Brian, what are we aware of? What myths are out there? What are you thinking from your end?
Yeah, I think we're trying to get people to be aware that hitters might not always see the defense and see the block perfectly, but maybe more so of knowing the situation they're in and knowing good options to go after. But it's hard when the play gets really fast to really recognize exactly where the defense is standing. So I think that's a myth we're trying to move past and just trying to make hitters more aware of good decisions in different situations.
Yeah, I think there's a good delineation between beach and indoor, right? Beach is going to be a little bit slower. You can kind of scope where that one defender is. But what we like to think about in indoor is really 70% of the situation. What's happening? What's your setter doing? What's typically going to happen? And then 20% is your body position, how you can get to the ball with your feet, how can you get into a good solid position. And then that 10% is the fix or the feel or the sense. You'll hear it differently with different folks. But that last 10% is maybe a little bit wrist down, a little bit flat. So that's what we like to see when we're talking about what seeing the block really means. And we've heard announcers in the pro volleyball that's happening right now where, whoa, they saw the defense. We just don't think it's the case, right? So we're going to go kind of break down the film of what's really happening and what these players are actually doing in this fast speed of the game. Alrighty, we are jumping into the film. VLA is an awesome grassroots organization helping women and men play pro and semi-pro volleyball all over the country. So we're lucky enough to get some film, and we're going to dive in right here, right off the bat. The middle attack, as this middle is coming around, all right, they're locked into what they're hitting, right, Bryce? So if we talk about our example right away of seeing the block's not over the net, and he's already made his decision of where he's going. So the hitter's sensing the situation as he's going up. He notices the middle's fronting him. He's not off to the side, either side. So as he's coming up in his mind, he's already knowing that he's either going to go left or right. So when we talk about seeing the situation, that's what we mean. As he's coming around, he notices that they're fronting, reading, committing, whatever it is. And then as he goes up and gets into a solid body position, he'll know where to go and where to cut. And so that last 10% is him cutting around the block. And I think that's a great example to start off with, is that he's not even seeing the blocker and he's going, right? So he's not seeing the blocker's hand.
Yep.
So here's a great example. His eyes are straight up. There's no way he's looking at the block, right? But what are some things that we're noticing, Bry, in this situation? What's the hitter aware of?
Yeah, out of system ball, we know we're going to have three up. So then it's choosing good shots based on that and knowing we're inside the court off the net. So we have to choose based on those things. And what do you think would be some good shots without knowing what he's going to do based on this situation?
So I would really feel the situation, right? A bump set, it's coming inside the court. From there, I know two things that I like to do, and there's another third option as well. But I'm thinking high hands, deep corner, trying to get that ball in. I'm a huge line swinger, so I would go off the block in this situation because I know that I can hit him and get block out. I can miss the block and still get it somewhere into the seam, or I could just turn and crank and try to take out setter right side, not typically great defenders. So I
Yep.
win in this situation a bunch because I'm thinking high, and if they stay in, I know that I can chop um, line. And the third option would be I tripped, I fell, I didn't feel it, little shot over into the campfire. I
Yep.
just know I have that if I don't feel good.
Yep. Yep.
So I love this play from him. He senses the same thing. He knows that he's got a lot of line open, and he's going to just take on the zone one defender, and he paints the line. I think that's a great example of
Good
what we're
choice.
talking about. So on this Bic, I think it's just a bang bang play. So he's going up. If it's a fast and like a great Bic run, it's really going to hit hard. It's going to be really hard for the wing defenders to block, right? If you have some sort of balanced offense and people are pulling the block, whether it's the middle or the right side or just another player on your team, you're not going to get this full block in front of you on the Bic unless it's like a high pipe where
Yep.
people are like camping on you and it's really out of system and obvious. So imagine if you're, a stud Matt Anderson playing with a lot of like high school kids. You could probably get a triple block here on Matt Anderson because he's really that good and no one's really you're not worried about anybody. But in general, this guy's thinking, I have the seams around the middle,
Yep.
and he's just going to go with whatever he's comfortable with. If he's a crossbody attacker, go into one with power and test the setter, or going into zone five and testing the libero because he's that type of person. Are you a thumb down? Are you a crossbody hitter? You should know that. And you
Yep.
should just kind of go with the flow because he can still squeeze it in between here. It's a bad block, a bad hit if you get blocked in this situation. But I really think if you're a Bic or a fast pipe attack, you're not going to get really those wing blockers closing in on you. And I think that's a great swing right there.
Yep.
So boom, out of system. All right, this is a good call out. What we want to do when we're aware of this situation. So the setter's at 12 feet, 13 feet, out of system, all the things that we've already talked about in some previous reps apply, but we got to get ourselves into a great body position. And you'll notice this outside hitter right here, just watch his feet. He does a little stutter step. And now, if I'm him, I'm thinking, oh, shoot, I'm early. I don't feel good. I'm not going to challenge the block high, right? If he's Matt Anderson and he's got a heavy arm or he's Keurig or something, he can go high hands and probably still get a kill, even with this stutter step. But for most normal people like us, stutter step means no power. No power means don't try to bang high hands and get a kill. I would automatically check down to the other options of if you're really cagey and you can go 4 to 4, I'm cagey down the line, so that's what I would choose. Or if you don't feel it, it's a push, recycle, shot over the block. And so his body position, even though he's in a good attacking form right here, I would say body position is also your momentum through the ball. So boom, little stutter, audible, audible. And then he tries to bang, and it's like a really good soft touch. No offense to this zone six defender, but he's got to get that ball up. And any volleyball that we've played in, um, you got to make that play. So I don't like that swing, even though he got a kill, because he should have felt the
Yep.
situation and felt his body to then make a better decision.
What would you have went with? What shot would you have went with?
If I felt that stutter and I was just too early, I would have gone, if it was off the net, I would have gone again, a line, little elbow, and try to get a block out. If it was tighter to the net, I checked down, but then it just got a little tight. I would have then pushed through the block with a throw. Or if it was inside, I would have then tried to pop it off the hands and try to get a recycle because I don't win cross. I
Yep.
win down the line. So I win down the line with a throw. If it's off the net with a chop, some people would go, sharp 4 to 4 because they don't like going line. But you
Yep.
got to realize that, hey, this is not a bang high hands off the block into the fans. It's your other shot that you're
Right.
comfortable with.
80%. Yeah.
So another middle example, he's coming around, he's got to feel and sense that this guy's here, right? He's going to go up. He's got to feel that middle there and know that, all right, I'm not going to zone one. He tries to bang here and he tries to bounce it, but for this kind of middle, he's got to be thinking about this is the solution regardless of the block. Like boom, deep corners in between the wing defenders in zone six, and really trying to force this ball deep. He tries to bang or he just gets jammed. That's when the fix, that last 10% is really important. Is like he goes up, he's feeling it. Once that little trigger alarm goes off, he's got to be like, oh, something's weird, flat, and then try to get that ball out because the error is the worst thing that you could do here by trying to force something. If the situation felt normal, body position didn't feel great, woo, alarm goes off, you got to fix better. And I think that's the 10%. I don't think they're evenly distributed, right? I think all of the phases are important, but you take a lot more information of the situation and then from there, the body positions just a split second, and then the fix is like a split second, but just as
Yep.
important.
Yep. Do you feel like in that last 10% with the fix, the location of the set also affects it? Meaning, hey, this one's kind of leading him back towards five and low. So that 10% is also kind of, hey, the set led me into this area.
Yeah, you're just super aware of all of those things. It's almost like you're hyper focused on, ooh, it's just a little bit lower than normal. Ooh, that guy's just reaching a little bit, and then you got to fix that situation from there. So it's a mix between the set, how you feel, the net, and the body of the blocker. And then those four things are, ooh, I'll just go a little bit more thumb up, or I'll go a little bit more thumb down. But that's again, we're feeling and sensing rather than I see the block, I make
Right.
a mental note, I choose something else, then I do it. You can't do it when you feel jammed on a set,
Yep.
right? And that's what we want, the myth we want to kind of go away with is you're not seeing the block. You're aware of the situation and the finer details to make just a little bit smarter shot. All right, we saw it. We've kind of overviewed it. What are your takeaways, Brian?
Yeah, my biggest thought is how do we start this process? How do we get people feeling the block instead of thinking I need to see everything, being aware of the situations? Am I watching film, getting feedback from others, giving myself feedback after the play? What are like my next steps if I'm trying to get deeper into this?
Yeah, it always starts with my example of the 12-year-old boy or girl passing the ball, looking down at the corner of like the 10-foot line, and then going, set me, set me, set me. And I just imagine that kid doing it, and then they're just waiting for that set to come. So wherever you are, making sure that if you're passing or the passers are passing, as you move out, you're aware of the big picture. You're aware of what kind of pass was it? Was there a lot of spin? Was the setter moving? Is the setter fast or slow? Are they good and out of system? Are they going to bump set? Are they going to hand set? What is the trajectory of the ball off the setter? And then getting that information is going to allow you to get into this mindset super quick. But if you kind of check out and look over at the other side of the court or look down, that's the worst that younger players do. You're losing this quality information. And so I would start there is getting more information sooner so that your brain goes chunking. We've talked about that. Boom, this is the situation. I'm either high hands deep cross, or I chop down the line, or I tip over the block. And having those three things is so much simpler than going,
Yeah.
oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Okay, the set's coming. Okay, now I'm gonna do. They're stressed out, and then they're gonna jam themselves or not get a good quality kill on it. So
Yep.
see the situation, deduce the information, that's going to lead to a couple choices that you got to commit to. And then once you commit to it, having those little fixes so you can get a kill instead of a good hit.
Yeah, one of my players said something interesting the other day. He described this mindset of with hitting as he's thinking about what's going to happen. And that put him in a really clear place of I know what choice I'm going to make because I know what's going on. He wasn't thinking about the last play. He wasn't thinking about currently what's going on. It's like what's going to happen in this play put him in a really good mindset. And I thought that was a really good place to kind of get players to and help them understand situations more going forward.
Yeah, so much of this volleyball IQ is seeing the future based on patterns, this chunking, noticing patterns, knowing things before they actually happen. And I think that's a great example. So takeaways, I think it's 70% awareness, be super aware, 20% body position, get yourself into a good position so that you can hit the ball hard or hit it as good as possible. And then that 10% is having that soft focus so that you can see all of those elements so you can make some small fixes here and there.
Love it.
All right, see you on the next one, folks.